Man, y'all know the face, y'all know the name. You're tuning into the World's Realest Podcast, Talking Ain't Cheap Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Mr. Isamui Clears Real Talk. And in traditional Talking Ain't Cheap fashion, I got a special guest here with me. I don't introduce my guest. I feel like it's real lackluster. I let my guests do all the talking. So with that being said, guest, please introduce yourself.
If we talking about fashion, then
Who they talking about?
listen, we got Lionel Nichols. I'm an international tailor
International tailor.
and designer.
International
tailor,
International.
Designer. Behind the
goes
brand,
places.
Mario and Lee.
Wow. That man
Yes,
goes places.
sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
What's been going on? Well, how's your day? You had a long day already.
Oh yeah. So just always trying to find ways to inspire. So, I appreciate you for having me come out today to speak with the students.
Most definitely. So first things first, Mario and Lee, international brand. Let's just go right there. That's how we're gonna start. It's an international brand. What was the start of Mario and Lee like? Why did you decide to name the brand Mario and Lee?
Okay, so the origins, the beginning. So we talking 2011, all right? So we got skin in the game over 10 years. So I started because I modeled prior to designing. And this is before Instagram really was anything. So we didn't have that platform, but my brother and I, we started doing this like style dynamic duo thing. And that was the origin of Mario and Lee. His middle name is Mario, part of my middle name is Lee. So it kind of was something that just rolled off the tongue well. And when I started to navigate really into cut and sew, that's when I used that and I took that name to pay homage to the origins.
Most definitely. I remember early Instagram when you guys used to do replacing the hats, the brims of hats.
Oh.
I remember that. I remember when you guys used to do customizable hats, customizable vest. When everyone was like jerking, they had all those different kind of colored vests and stuff. I remember when you was doing that stuff. So to see that all the stuff that you're doing now, the evolution of everything you're doing now, it's just really a testament to what consistency and hard work could really do for you. I remember when I first met you earlier when you was at St. Rose, College of St. Rose, and you was doing your fashion shows in Brooklyn.
Oh,
you
yeah.
did your first fashion show in Brooklyn.
Yeah. That was at Cafe Omar. Rest in peace to Cafe Omar, because it's not Cafe Omar anymore, but the building's still on the corner. I showcased about 100 pieces that I made over the course of a year. My first year really, I say that was like my first year really designing for real. Prior to that was me just figuring it out, trying to sew, and this was me implementing ideas and really just creating whatever came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I showcased I think it was 6 or 7 collections, bro. 6 or 7 collections, but 100 pieces total. And it's crazy.
How did you get into sewing and cut and sew?
Oh man, you want the that moment?
Tell me the story.
All right, so I was modeling prior to designing, and one day I was talking to my pops, and I was like, "Yo, Pop, I want to get into designing. I think I need a sewing machine." So my dad back in the 90s, he used to work at a furniture store. And when they closed down, I guess the story was they were able to take one piece of furniture when they left. And he took this side table. But what I didn't know all these years of seeing the side table in the crib was that the side table had a built-in sewing machine.
Wow.
So that day he uncovered the table, he pulled the sewing machine on top, and then he's just like, "Yo, I haven't sewed since home ec when I was 9 years old or something like that, back in secondary school back in St. Vincent." So he threaded the machine for me and was just like, "That's what I could show you. That's what I know." You feel me? And from there, I just took it and ran with it.
That's awesome. So what has sewing meant to you? What has this process of being a designer have meant to you? What has it brought to your life?
I would say, in a metaphor, it was the thread that connected everything in my life, right? Because so many of the relationships I have and the experiences I've encountered has only come because I was designing, right? We only met because I got into fashion. You know, so I traveled my whole entire college career across the Northeast, you know, from school to school doing fashion shows.
You did.
So I made so many contacts, so many connections to this day. You know, there's still people I'm in contact with from that. And then I've even had I think one of my most inspirational and I say biggest accomplishments, achievements to date has been being hand selected to go to Paris.
Yeah, definitely. Tell us more about that. So
I didn't really have a say in going to Paris. That's what people don't know. I didn't really have a say in going to Paris. I had to go for a year from designing, and I became an art teacher. Mm-hmm. And this is like my last week as a teacher, and one of my friends reaches out, and she's like, "You're going to Paris." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "I don't got all the details, but clear your schedule. You're going to Paris." So I'm still like, mind you, we haven't spoken in a while either. It's probably been like a few months since we had last spoke. And she's just like, "Yeah, you're going to Paris." And later I found out that the arrangement she made was if they want her to go, I'm a part of that package.
Wow.
So that's why they have an option. She was like, she told them already, she's not coming if I'm not there. Mm-hmm. And they needed her there, so they needed me there.
Wow.
And we were out in Paris for 11 days, working like 12, 14, 16-hour days, designing for Nike, doing reworks for Nike for Paris Gobel's debut of her partnership with Nike. And it was amazing, bro. I even had the opportunity to make the finale piece for the entire showcase for Paris Gobel. This white trench coat, floor-length trench coat with like puffer Nike checks.
Yeah,
and just like, yeah, crazy.
I feel like you've done a lot of really dope pieces. Do you have like a book of all the pieces that you've ever done? Or do you have like some kind of recollection of all the pieces that you ever done?
So I have everything. It's on the cloud. Everything's definitely on the cloud, but I got everything on my phone as well. Everything got to be backed up nowadays, you know, because you lose your phone, that's everything. But nah, I got everything on the cloud right now. My goal really is to take these photos and really just put together like a book. You feel me? A book of all the pieces that I've made. At least significant pieces I made, because I made too many pieces that I didn't get photos of. You know, like you don't always get a photo of everything you've ever made, because depending on how the product gets to the client, sometimes you just never get a photo. Sometimes the client doesn't end up wearing it for whatever the intended purpose was, so you never get that photo. But sometimes I just have like a photo of it, just like flat when it's finished on a white background or something like that. But you know, nothing is like seeing the person you envision to wear something, wearing it, you know, and you see how they feel in it.
Mm-hmm. How do you come up with these designs and these pieces of art? Because that's what they are, pieces of art. How do you come up with it? Because it seems as if your mind has to be a very unique and wired differently kind of mind to be able to just come up with all these different pieces of art and having them come to life. So what is the process like?
So it depends, right? I feel like I'm inspired by everyone and everything, right? As cliche as that sounds, I have a vision for what certain things look like or what I would expect it to look like in a certain space. So if you're an artist, you're a rapper or something like that, and you have a certain performance, based on the environment that you're going to be in is going to be how I design it. It will be like, okay, what piece do I see occupying this space? And that's how I design when I have some sort of direction. But like, if I have complete creative freedom to design, then I just design what I feel like we are together, right? Because every time I design, I design from the perspective of who are you in Mario and Lee, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't design just Mario and Lee pieces from my own perspective for everyone. It's like, I want this to be something associated and attached to you. So your brand identity has to be visible in this piece. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's literally just as simple as me seeing somebody and something about their vibe just tells me like, oh, nah, you would wear this. So I just create from that lens. And then sometimes it's more like a questionnaire. I ask you, what's your favorite number? What's significant things? Give me significant dates. If you have a favorite photo, if you want to recreate something that's nostalgic, you know, I take reference photos from when you were a child. I take ideas, your favorite colors and everything like that. And I just encompass it in one and then put the Mario Lee bow on it.
Wow. That's interesting because most designers probably don't even come from that lens or that sphere of influence. They probably just design from, you know, drawing something that they probably saw out of a book or from a silhouette and then going that way. So for you, how did you learn how to get to this good? How did you learn, like, what was the process like for you to get to this point where you're at now?
Because of how I started, right? So for me, being that I became a designer from seeing designers design things that I couldn't afford, right? I always wanted, when I created things, it's things that stood out, things that represent how I feel. It may not be who I am, but it's how I feel, right? Because the fact is, we don't always show up as our authentic selves, right? In a sense that just because you have this big personality when you're around your friends, when you occupy in a different space, you don't have that large personality, but my clothes remain the same. Like, that's always been my sentiment. Let my clothes speak for me. I was a very big, I'm more ambiverted now, but I was a super introvert. So for me, I go to these events and I hold the wall. But holding the wall don't get me customers, it don't get me clients, it don't share my story. So just the fact of people walking up to me based on what I'm wearing and they're like, yo, nah, that's hard. Where'd you get that from? And then once the conversation comes where, oh, I made that. Now this is where I thrive, right? This is the space that I excel in. So I'm able to talk comfortably about the process, about what I do, what I create, you know, and how it makes me feel, all of that. And from there, that's where I really like establish more of who I am, you know, and you really see the full colors of the spectrum, like in terms of like my personality.
I love that. So let's talk about the earlier days of Mario and Lee, the fashion shows. I remember coming to your dorm room one time and having to spend the night and having to sleep on fine fabrics and silks because your room was like the size of a small closet and he had to make room for me. So let's talk about those times when you was doing the college fashion shows and stuff like that. What was that period like, and how did you get your brand into like the view of all these different schools? Because there was a time you was at every school, every weekend, multiple weekends, showcasing your fashion.
Yeah. So honestly, I'd have to say one people that I got to shout out just for this alone is Adam. You know, my brother Adam, man. Honestly, I have to say throughout my whole entire college experience, getting around for these college shows wouldn't have happened without Adam, because he literally was the one to be like, yo, bro, I'm driving. Like, I will drive. Yo, you got a show this weekend? I'm out. You feel me? Wow. So there was never a hesitation. It didn't matter what he had going on. He seen the vision and he knew what the expansion looked like. And he just enjoyed fashion in the entire process in entirety. So I would literally be up late sewing, or sometimes even sew it up until the time we about to get in the car. So even if I could drive, I wouldn't have been able to drive because I'm tired. You feel me? So literally I get in the car and go to sleep sometimes. And he's driving the whole drive to whatever school. He's doing the whole ride up by himself, you know, because I'm getting rest so I can be ready for the show. And like, you don't get people like this in your life, bro. Mm-hmm. You know? So we just do fashion show after fashion show. And a lot of the time it just comes from like word of mouth. Another part of it was me reaching out to every single school I could find on social media. I just type in hashtag BSA, hashtag BSU, hashtag CSA, hashtag whatever, you feel me? And then just follow the hashtags and then find the student groups, find their email or just DM them and be like, I'm a designer. If you're looking for designers for your next fashion show, reach out to me. I'd love to present. And a lot of schools would then go to my Instagram page and they'll see it and they'll be like, oh, nah, you got some heat on here. We need you to pull up to our school. And then you do the show there. And then, you know, their friends are visiting from other schools. Friends of the models visiting from other schools. And they part of different student groups. So then they stop me at the end of the show. And they like, oh, you know, I'm from Northeastern, or I'm from Boston, or I'm from whatever school it is. And they'd end up just telling me like, yo, I'm on this student group. And when we have our show next semester, we want to have you showcase. And that was my way to really do like the whole Northeast leg, just all the way from Buffalo down to Connecticut, just doing fashion shows.
Wow. What has been your favorite place to go? And for what reason? And for what reason?
Hold on.
For what reason? I feel like I have an idea, but I'm just curious. Like, where's your favorite place?
Hold on. I'd have to say it's a couple of different places. Because I will not lie and say that Buffalo don't got a special place in my heart.
Buffalo definitely has a special place in your heart because you was there a lot.
Buffalo has a special place in my heart. After a while, politics got involved. So we do have that reality. So I'm not even going to front on that. Like that didn't change certain things in terms of dynamic. But I will say I met some of my closest friends. Funny story. I met Faith. That's my sister. You feel me? I met her in Buffalo. But crazy thing is, like, the day I was doing a fashion show, she just had this willingness to help. She was just like, yo, if you need anybody to shut up, if you need da-da-da-da, like, I got you. And then she was like, nah, she's like, you my best friend now. Mm, and literally,
that's a personality.
Yeah, literally from the time she said that, like, I'm her best friend. When I tell you, like, to this day, her son called me uncle, like, it's like that. You feel me?
Wow.
So that's like a lifelong friend, like ups and downs, all that. And the way that she supports is genuine. It's so genuine. And that just came off of like the first day I met her at a fashion show. And then, you know, I got my bros out in Buffalo and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, shout out to my brothers out there. And yeah, you know, just like the whole network out there in Buffalo was amazing. I will say that another place that surprised me, I say, I think it was Northeastern. Mm-hmm. I think it was Northeastern. What's crazy about if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to get the wrong school, but I had ran into one of my boys from the towns out there, and Down Goes Frazier was hosting. I believe it was Down Goes Frazier. He was hosting one of the fashion shows. It was a show in Boston, and Down Goes Frazier was hosting. And I knew him from the town through my boy Milano. And yeah, we ended up going to like this after party, and it was just like an OD vibe. It was like an OD vibe. So like that was one of my notable stories. I will never forget though, bro. I will never forget in Buffalo when SZA hosted, bro. I will never forget. Like, I could have died that day, bro. Like, I took a picture. This is the story, and I'm sticking to it because it's facts. The next time I meet SZA, I'm going to show her the picture. She's going to remember because this conversation was hilarious, right? So, you came to me, right? Yeah. And you was like, yo, come get your picture with SZA.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I'm like, all right, bet. So I get backstage, I take my picture with SZA. She looks at the picture. She said, nah, you got to delete that. You can't look better than me. And when I tell you, bro, I was like, oh. I was like, nah, bro,
SZA's fire.
I was like, SZA said I look better than her? Nah, that's crazy.
SZA's fire. SZA's fire. I'm gonna keep SZA's fire. Nah, SZA's fire. I love SZA. I wish I was supposed to take out to Red Lobster on my little college budget. I was like, yo, I was trying to have her come to my pool party. I was having a pool party that weekend. I was trying to have her come through. And she was like, let me know. I was like, yo, I'll take you to Red Lobster. That's how you know I was broke as a college student.
Yo,
so,
but nah, the cheddar biscuits, bro. The cheddar biscuits
is fire.
They take your heart every time.
That's good food. That's good eats. The endless shrimp. 1999.
Bro, that was the way to. You feel me? Now everybody want crab boils and all that. Like,
no, now girls want Ruth Chris. You gotta take her to Brooklyn Chop House.
Facts.
$200.
No Cheesecake Factory?
None. No, now you bring a girl to Cheesecake Factory, you're a bum. You don't love your mom. That's crazy. The old me would have took you to McDonald's and you would have been crazy. You would have been excited for the McDonald's French fries. What happened?
Take a Wendy's 4 for $4.
Yeah, what happened? What happened? Social media. I blame social media.
Has been. That's what it is.
But I think Buffalo. You have a special place in Buffalo history. Definitely. I just because of just who you were and what you was able to do in fashion. Like all the pieces that you do, all the things you were doing with leather and with the skins, with snake skin as well, was crazy. The pattern work. There was nobody who had pattern work like you.
Thank you.
Most definitely. So I guess the next thing we can really talk about is just you navigating fashion. How do you navigate the fashion industry? Because first of all, there's not a lot of heterosexual males in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
And then also you're dealing with a lot of women that are attractive. So how do you navigate those spaces?
So first thing I'm going to touch on is being a heterosexual male within fashion, right? I think there's a sense of representation that I have. And like, it's something that I feel like is my obligation, right? Because when I wanted to get into fashion, especially like in high school, I wasn't outright with my fashion just because there was a stigma associated with it, right? Mm-hmm. It was kind of like, oh, all the men who are in fashion are this way, and then it's or only women do fashion and stuff like that. So I wasn't really like, when I first started, I wasn't really like promoting my fashion like super heavy in high school because it was just like, I don't want people to think, because I got into fashion that this is what it is or whatever. So it was just like meeting designers like Arjona. I don't know if you're familiar with Arjona. He also showcased out in Buffalo. I used to model for him actually when I was coming up. And he was one of the first guys I met who were straight men who designed. And for me, I was like, yo, that's dope. Like, because he was also cool too. Like, me being a youngin', I saw him, I was like, yo, this guy is mad cool. So it was like, okay, I feel relatable to him, So that was one thing. And then like, you got the Dapper Dans, and then now kids had Virgil, Kanye, like all of these other people coming up, Pierre Morse, Heron Preston, like all of these guys coming up now who are heterosexual males in the fashion space. There's way more representation now. So like, I feel like it was my obligation, to continue going and being, again, representation in the space so that people feel more comfortable, and feel like they belong. Because like you said, in addition to not being many heterosexual males, it's a heavily women-dominated industry. So one talking about that is like certain dynamic when it comes to navigating working with women first. And then two, there's a certain level of professionalism that you need to have working with so many attractive women. Because throughout college, even now, when I do fashion, I'm always like, yo, I will not work with certain people if they're pushing. If I will not work with certain women if there's too much emphasis on like a hypersexuality towards me, because at the end of the day, I'm a professional and I never want to be seen in that type of light, right? Where somebody's like, oh yeah, he tried to make advances at me or whatever the case is or whatever. And I don't want any blur lines, no misconstrued. I am very professional. It's like, if it's professional, it's professional. If it's personal, it's personal, and we keep that completely separate.
I understand that completely. I feel you have to be that way in all industries. Like, nowadays with the Me Too movement, you do the wrong thing, you're going to be canceled. They about to
Cancel
send you to Africa.
Crazy. Cancel culture is crazy.
They send you to Africa, you gone. You going to be in Antarctica, you gone.
Yeah.
Everything you work for, gone.
Yeah,
so, I understand completely. But I guess also when it comes to navigating fashion in the industry, how do you go about navigating the politics of the different personalities? Because I feel like that's something that, like in fashion, there's decorum, there's a way that you do things, and then also it's not sometimes who's the hottest that gets the best looks. It's also about who you know and who knows you. So how do you navigate those spaces as well?
Honestly, you just being authentic to who you are, bro. Like, you can't really I don't really want to pigeonhole myself to be like, oh, you gotta play the game a certain way or whatever. I tried to playing the game a certain way. I tried, just like staying in my lane. And, you know, there were certain things I took to the chin because I was just like, yo, I don't want anybody to have anything bad to say about me. So I'm not going to call you out on your BS or nothing like that. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, yo, bro, it is what it is. Like, I'm going to just continue to do what I do. And I'm a firm believer in God. So what's for me is for me. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who closed the door in my face. If I wasn't meant to be in that door, that door's not going to open for me anyways, you know? But every door that opens for me is for me. And just based off of my faith alone, bro, I stopped playing into politics. I play into faith, bro. That's really what it is. I can't play the games that they play, bro. Because there's no winning that battle. Mm-hmm. There's gatekeeping. There's even the who knows you, bro. People will pull your card people will pull you as a card when it's beneficial to them and then close the door in front of you. I've been in rooms with people who act like they don't know me. And yo, bro, I'm gonna tell you one time I hit up my mans about this event, right? And I'm like, yo, I tried to RSVP and I didn't get an RSVP. So I know that he be pulling up to mad events with no RSVP because he just be outside. So like people see his face and they vouch for him. So I hit him and I'm like, yo, bro, you think I can side with you? He's like, yo, bro, this is not one of those events I got any pull at, da-da-da-da-da. Bro, last minute somebody hit me up and was like, yo, you trying to come with me to this event? I walked in that room, bro. As soon as son see me, he ran up to me. Yo, bro, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, I had to meet ugly face. I was like, yo, bro. Come on now.
This is what we doing?
Like, you really was like, yo, bro, there ain't no way. There's nothing I can do for you. I can't get you in. And then somebody else called me and brought me in the room. The same room you tried to keep me out. Like I said, what's for you is for you. Can't nobody close the door God open for you. You feel me? And that's just what it is. And that's why I move the way I move and with integrity, because I don't got to cut corners. I don't got to do none of that. Every opportunity that I got is through God alone, one. And then it's making sure that I'm in places where I see an opportunity, right? So my first big viral moment, I'd say, was 2014, right? I know that on the 106 in Park, because this is back when 106 in Park was a thing, and you leave school and go out there on, you feel me?
Watch it on BET.
So when the happening was, I'm like, yo, I know they pick out somebody out the audience for their outfit. And they do a whole segment with that. But what's crazy is Kevin, the one who was doing the audience for 106 at the time, I met him previously. So he had already put it in motion. To play for me. Mm-hmm. He was like, yo, bro, just show up. If you got anything you want to give to Bow and Roxy, you feel me? You could just bring it. So I'm like, I bet.
I remember this.
So I brought it, and then he positioned me in a certain way that at one point in time, Bow Wow came over and he shouted me out, right? This is on 106 in Park. I was in college at the time, you know, and I was like, oh yeah, my brand about to take off. Like I thought this was it. The reality is one viral moment doesn't make you anything different. You feel me? It's how you capitalize and what you continue to do. But what I realized was there was always spikes in viral moments in moments of virality I had, right? Mm-hmm. It's like people engage because they're like, oh, who is this guy? They want to see, right? And then if you don't have people start getting attached to those viral moments, right? So then they're now like, okay, he was on 106 in Park, so what's next? And then something big happens again, and then they're like, all right, bet, and they back. And it's like shots of dopamine. It's just like, it's like a drug now, right? And so my dad told me, he's like, when you get these highs, don't live too much in the highs and don't live too much in the lows. And that's really the only way that you balance out. Because what happens is you start crashing out.
Yeah.
You start crashing out because it's like you get this big moment, you riding this high, and then you have this assumption that like, yo, this is gonna be the moment that changes my life, and it's not.
Yeah.
And then you now there's this low because like the high is gone.
Yeah.
And then life goes back to what it was. Mm-hmm. Right? So first it was 106 in Park. That was 2014. Then 2019 was Tory Lanez.
Yeah.
He dropped the Chicks Take 5. He was out in downtown Brooklyn at Vinny Styles. He was doing a album signing, bro. I found out about the album signing the day before, right? He didn't even drop the track list till the day of. So this is how you know. This is how you know. When I tell you I made this outfit the day of, bro, that's how you know it's facts. So I'm like, yo, I start doing my research on Tory. I'm like, I'm going on his Instagram. I'm looking at all his outfits. I Google him. I'm looking at all the type of outfits he wears. Because my thing is, you want to make something that is still true to you, but it's something that you feel like the client is gonna like, right? So I know he's into bright colors. Like he liked to be seen. So I found this like Aztec print fabric I had in the cut, and then I blended it with another fabric, threw some logos on there, and on the back I put his track list in glow in the dark.
Wow.
In the glow in the dark embroidery thread, right? So I pull up, I'm waiting online, and I see him, I hand him the jacket, he stands up, throws the jacket on, dabs me up, he's like, yo, bro, nah, this is hard, right? Again, this is one of those moments where like you kind of start thinking, you know, this might be it, because after I made the jacket, he was just like, yo, he's like, you know, I be doing my vlog thing, right, too, so talking this camera right here, and we gonna shout you out. I never seen that footage. You feel me? So in that moment, I was riding this high because I was like, oh, this could really be it. Because now this is another platform. It's not just me posting it. It's him reciprocating it and posting it. But what I did see was he wore that jacket multiple times. There was times where people were sending me screenshots of him in the jacket, and I'm like, that means more than a share to me, because you genuinely like the product. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just do this for show because at face value, everybody's gonna eat this up. Like, oh, look at him supporting this local designer, this young boy, whatever. Nah, it was like he threw the jacket on, then he wore it a couple times, and from there it was just like, I bet, like he genuinely appreciated the jacket. So for me, after the high came down on that, I didn't feel bad about it because, like I said, like a week had passed by and I seen him wearing the jacket again, and I was just like, word, all right, cool, like. Yeah, I didn't get the post. I didn't get the shout out, whatever. But he enjoyed the product. And that's where I started capitalizing, because I'm like, yo, who's having an album release? Who's doing a meet and greet? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? Gunna DS4.
Yep. Can't forget the Gunna jacket. The Gunna jacket was different.
Bro.
The Gunna jacket was different.
Crystals in the eyes of the snake, bro. Like, when I tell you, so I missed, and this is why I said, bro, again, what's for you is for you, bro. So I'm working on this jacket. It's taking a little longer than I anticipated. It's probably now like 5 o'clock. I got to get into the city. He's doing a meet and greet for 6, right? As soon, bro, park the car, I'm running over to where the meet and greet was at, bro. A photographer's walking away from the venue. He goes, oh, where you headed right now? I'm like, I'm about to go try to meet Gunna. I got this jacket I want to give him. He's like, yo, bro, you ain't see that black Sprinter that just went down? He was in the black Sprinter. He left. I'm like, oh man. So now I'm fake like, I'm like, yo, bro, I desperate that time. I work on his jacket. So for a little bit, like for a few minutes, I was standing there and I was just like, oh man, like I guess I missed my opportunity. And then I saw that he was doing another one the next day in Long Island.
Dang.
So I was like, I guess I got to go to Long Island tomorrow. But you all know what's crazy? I was like, you know what? The degrees of separation right now was so close, bro. We're so small with social media. I'm like, I'm going to post this jacket. And what's going to happen is I say, yo, if you know Gunna, tell him I'm trying to get this jacket to him.
Yeah, that's smart.
That's literally what I posted. I posted the jacket and I was like, yo, tell Gunna I'm trying to give him this jacket. And somebody, bro, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Because, bro, soon as I left the meet and greet, bro, I went home and went to sleep. I posted it and I went to sleep because I was a little defeated that day.
It's a lot. You was building a jacket. You was traveling to go see Gunna. You was rushing. You know, you have to get fly as well. Knowing you must have put that thing on. So you know, I can already tell you was probably already tired.
Bro, I was tired, but at the same time too, it was just like I just felt over the day because I was like, yo, I gotta go wake up and do this again tomorrow, type of thing. So I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. I went to sleep, bro. So I was asleep by probably like 9 p.m., bro. So around like 1, I go and I don't usually check my request box on Instagram, bro. But my phone was really blowing up. Everybody was tagging Gunna. So I was like, oh, he might see it. And then all of a sudden I checked my request and so I had hit somebody had hit me and he was like, yo, bro, my man's just with Gunna right now. So he's gonna I told him to show him the jacket. So he shows him the jacket. Then all of a sudden I get airdropped the location and they like pull up. I'm like, son just sent me like somebody's location. He shared the location that they shared with him, like the pin drop. It was just like, he was like, yo, just pull up here. So mind you, now at this point, it's like 2:00 in the morning. I'm like,
do I really pull up?
I'm like, do I really pull up, bro? It's 2:00 in the morning. Y'all want me to hop in my car and run to the city?
And imagine if you ain't even got a car.
You
and we in the towns, like, yo, it's tough out here.
So they was at Chelsea Piers. They happen to have been at Chelsea Piers. And my sister boyfriend, he at this time I was at my parents' crib. He live in the crib too. So I'm like, yo, bro, I'm not about to slide. I'm like, keep it a buck. I'm not about to slide at this hour by myself.
Yeah, you can't.
He was up. He just so happened to be up. So I called him. I'm like, yo, bro, you trying to head to the city with me real quick? He's like, yeah, bro, we out. 2:00 in the morning. He was on the game, playing video games or whatever. He was just like, yo, bro, we out. Hopped in the car. He ended up driving. We went to the city. We get there, bro. And when I tell you everybody was in the spot. Like we waited outside because they was letting out. So that's when I seen Gunna, Rowdy, all of them. Mad people was just in the spot. And yeah. I showed him the jacket. He was like, you pushing P for real. So I'm like, okay.
Pushing P for real.
No, exact words, pushing P for sure. Right? You know that southern twang on it
for
too.
Sure.
So I'm like, word, all right, bet. So I was like, all right, official cosign. The artwork of the album, the jacket was based on the artwork of the album. I had these crystals I put for the eyes on the snake. I made it like this metallic silver color. Had DS4 embroidered on the back. And I was just like, yeah, bro, this jacket is hard.
And every time you've done these jackets, no one has ever offered to buy it from you. Like no one offered money for it.
My thing is this: like when I do these things, true, it's me showing, it's me giving flowers, right? That's also a part of it too, because I'm not gonna sit here and say that like I just do this for every single person, any opportunity I can. It's like, nah, I do it because one, it's either artists I genuinely listen to, or I feel like are making a contribution to the culture. So like for me, what better way to show that than by providing, like gifting you something to give you your flowers while you're here. Because one of the biggest ones for me was Pop Smoke.
Yeah, they talk about that.
Right?
Rest
so
in peace to Pop Smoke.
Yeah. What's crazy is me and him got the same birthday, right?
Wow.
So yeah, like crazy. So Meet the Woo 2 album release party. It was out in Williamsburg. And my man's Aura hit me up and he was like, yo, if you want, we about to go to the Meet the Woo 2 album release. If you want, I'll set it up. You can give him a gift. And I'm like, bro, right now, Pop Smoke is the hottest artist out of Brooklyn. You know, son's out of Canarsie. So I'm like, all right, bet. You know, I'm down, bro. So then I make this blue, like this hard blue, like velvet jacket with like gold head beaded on the collar and all of this. And on the back, I put Meet the Woo 2 with the Woo Star, all that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep, I remember that.
And during the album release, he was doing like a brief intermission, and then his security was like, pull up. So I came through the crowd and I handed him the jacket, right? So for me in that moment, I'm like, yo, like that was a, and then DJ JP was there too. That's
Shout
my
out to
guy.
JP,
Yeah.
man. Shout out to Family Ties, man.
So yeah, so I ended up talking with him because that was his DJ too at the time.
Yeah.
So I was talking with JP and I'm like, yo, bro, like I'm trying to do like a collab, set up a shoot, do something, you feel me? And there was a point where they was heading like into the back room. So I went back there and he was just like, yeah, bro, I was talking to Pop real briefly. And he's like, yeah, bro, we got time. He's like, yeah, we got time. We going he was talking about how he had to go out to LA and all that. And then we was going to work when he get back, probably pull up to like a studio session, something like that. You feel me? And then, that was one of those moments that made me realize like, yo, bro, we don't have time.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, we don't have time. And when you have these great ideas and you have this vision for something, you got to execute it in that moment when you have a moment, because you never know. And like that's why that was also hard for me because it gave a morality check to me too. Because it's like we live our lives all the time thinking about like, yo, we got time.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is we really don't have time. We don't. So that's why like that was a tough one. That was a tough one, bro.
Now you've done some really amazing pieces of work for a lot of people. Like I said, you got people wearing livable art and wearing pieces of art. So it's just dope to see just how far you've come. Has there been a time that you almost gave up doing fashion and doing design?
Yeah. I feel like as an entrepreneur, everybody has those times, but like when I tell you, like the higher the highs, the lower the lows, right? So for me, day before my birthday, I have a duplex apartment, flooded. All my equipment damaged, bro. All the fabric covered in mold. I tried washing everything, bro. Still smelled like mold. Like the water, just no matter what I did, bro, with the fabric and all of that, it just did not help. And that was tough for me because I'm like, yo, bro, I can't afford. It wasn't even like I can't afford, but it was like when you have money and you're not used to having money, you always think you gotta hoard money. You don't want to spend it on nothing. You don't want to buy nothing new. You're like, oh, saving it for a rainy day. I need to make sure I can pay my rent. I could do this and that and the third. And it was like, no, bet on yourself. Like, bet on yourself. So I lost everything, bro. I lost all my equipment. I lost all that and then had to buy everything back. And when I had to buy everything back now, that was the moment where I was like, I got to go all in for real, So that happened. And then last year was a tough year for me too, because like I said earlier, before we got on the podcast, I was telling you about the fact that like when you're working with certain clientele and they think they're above paying you because they have a platform.
That's unfortunate. Payment
over platform, that's what they believe in, right?
Yeah.
Platform over payment is what they believe in. So they think like, oh yeah, but I'm wearing it in my music video, so I don't gotta pay you. But it's like that don't pay my bills. I still got bills at the end of the day. And you got everything you need. So long story short, everything just started piling up, started maxing out credit cards to stay afloat. When the credit ran out, I just had to start seeing which limb I was going to cut off first. You feel me?
Homies had to sell his pinky, sell a kidney.
What limb I could cut off first? Like, can I still do what I need to do without a studio?
There's places in China that will definitely take a limb for a couple $100,000. You know what I mean? You can definitely
black market.
Nah. Change your life both ways.
So I'm like, yo, I need to figure out what I can live without in this moment. And then I started having to cut down on things. I'm like, yo, can I live without my studio? I don't want to, but I have to. Got rid of the studio. Can I still keep this apartment? Nah, you can't keep this apartment. Get rid of the apartment. At one point, bro, if I didn't have my parents' crib, I was ready to live in my car. Be honest. I was ready to live in my car because I was just like, yo, after being able to be like self-sufficient for so long, having to go back to depending on anybody is such a stroke to the ego that it was just like, yo, I had to really humble myself to really go back and say, you know what? I'm going to move back in with my parents, and I'm going to do that for the next however long I need to in order to get back on my feet. So that was one of like the biggest struggles for me, because I'm like, yo, I've been designing for so long. I've been on my own for so long, to now have to go back to depending on my parents. Like, my next meal coming if my mom cooked, not because I could afford to buy some food. You feel me? Like, when I tell you every account was in a negative.
Wow.
Every account was in a negative. So it was just tough, bro. And like, in that moment, that was one of the moments where I was just like, yo, bro, I'm done. Like, and I took a year off. That was the longest time I ever stepped away from sewing, bro, my whole life. I took a year off, and I became an art teacher.
Yeah, wow. What was that like?
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I remember you did the little fashion show for the kids.
Yeah, and that's where representation matters. That's where experience and showing up for people too, bro. Because like, for me, when I did that fashion show, I was still teaching full time, bro, and I was staying up all night showing these kids pieces, bro.
Wow.
Staying up all night, making sure that these pieces was done, because these kids, there's not a lot of times where you're going to be able to say, like, these kids are going to get another opportunity somewhere else, you know? And if all I could do was provide an opportunity to these kids, and that if that's all they remembered from me, then I did my job, you know? Because that's what I love doing, and to be able to bring that into the space that I was occupying of fashion and being able to give those kids that opportunity, I was like, yeah, I don't care what I got to sacrifice to do this. I'm going to make the sacrifices because they deserve it.
That's real. And you did it. And so how long were you a teacher for?
I was a teacher for exactly one full school year.
Wow. And what's something that you learned about yourself during that process?
I learned to disassociate myself from my brand, right? Because before, it's always been the same. It's always been one and the same. Like, so much of my identity was built into being a designer. And that's why like stepping away for so long, or even becoming this teacher, was so hard to decide on doing. Because like, my name is Lionel Nichols, right? But people call me Mario Only. People call me Mr. Mario Only. People call me Mr. Designer. Like, so much of my brand identity was wrapped into being a designer, right? That it became so much of my reality that I had identity crisis not being a designer in that moment, because it's like, that's all I ever was known for, you know? So it became tough to separate the two, but I learned that, you know, aside from my brand, you know, I'm a creative, multifaceted creative. I started, bro, being an art teacher, I started to paint, bro. I didn't paint before being an art teacher. Mm-hmm. I was painting. I learned so much about art, color theory, all of that from being an art teacher. Like, I was teaching myself as I was teaching my students, and being at such a impressionable age, because I was teaching K through 4. So I'm really teaching like the fundamentals. So I had to learn the fundamentals. I had to learn the basis of art. And that helped me so much, because before that, I wasn't painting. Now I have an affinity towards painting. Like, I actually enjoy it. I paint in my spare time. Now I can get into the fine arts. I feel like there's a more artistic approach even to my fashion, just because of all the facets that I know I'm capable of occupying now. It's not just sewing. That's why, like, if you go on my Instagram page at Mario and Lee, MarioAndlee, right? You'll see I've done furniture. You know,
yeah, definitely.
I've done furniture, and just trying to figure out any way that I could be creative. Got into doing sneakers too. Just like any way that I could take something in my head and make it reality. That's what I got out of teaching. I got being more childlike, the imagination, you know, looking at things from the lens that in art, there's no wrong. There's really no wrong in art, right? Because art is what you make it, right? So it's just like, when I'm creating something, if it's not going as planned, you pivot. Mm-hmm. You make something different. You take it somewhere else. And that puts less pressure on me now. Because even when I'm designing for a client, I make a mistake and I'm not like, oh man, I got to start over. Nah, when I talk to the client, I'm like, yo, I had a better idea. Mm-hmm. Had a better idea. I found out this is gonna be a whole lot better than the initial plan. So we made a pivot, but I know you're gonna like it. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's That's really what the change was for me. It was knowing who I am outside of being a designer, right? Like what I really want. I just enjoy like experiencing life in the simplest form.
And what does experiencing life in the simplest form mean to you? What does that look like?
Bro, just, being blessed to wake up every day and go through life. And sometimes it's monotonous, and sometimes you don't know what to expect. Like, I leave the crib. My cousin is an artist by the name of Sinead. And one day I was about to go somewhere, and I'm walking down the street, and I see her, and I'm like, yo, let me give you a ride back to the house. She's like, I'm actually heading to this performance. And like, I was just going down the street, but I ended up going to a performance in the city. No, in Dumbo. I ended up going to her performance in Dumbo. So it's like just being super spontaneous with life, accepting what comes, letting go of what leaves, and never really putting too much pressure on yourself. And just being okay with the outcome.
How have you been using your art to help with your mental health? And the question I should have asked earlier is, how are you mentally? Like, where's your mental health in all of these things that you've been going through?
I think mental health is always kind of like a roller coaster to a certain degree, because we all have good days and we have bad days. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been in the best like headspace lately, and part of that comes from like not seeing as many not seeing the same client turnover I was expecting. And then like, for the past year I was working, getting paid every 2 weeks. So you're not seeing that check come in every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So you're now dealing with the reality that like, maybe I'm not working hard enough. Right. And then, you start looking at what's success. Is success a dollar amount? Like, am I not successful because I'm not moving this many units? Am I not successful because I'm not bringing in this amount of money, but I'm still managing to inspire people, right? So what do you deem success? And like, I've never been the one to view success through a number. It's always been like, all right, who can I inspire? How can I continue to inspire? That's really what I deem as success. Because if I'm that spark that made somebody become a designer or follow their passion, whatever that may have been, then, I'm successful. Being successful is honoring your word. That's what I deem as successful. It's just, being a man about things and standing on it. And sometimes you still end up with imposter syndrome because you look at the numbers, or you start thinking about, all right, well, the bills are due. You feel me? Like, do I got it? Do I not have it? And I feel like as Black men, a lot of the time, our biggest battle is the financial one. Definitely. And I feel like that takes the biggest impact mentally on Black men.
I mean, because if we don't got no money, then you ain't gonna get no honey. That's just what it is. If you ain't got no money, you ain't, right now, especially if you ain't got no money, it's like you not him. It's like you can't do nothing for nobody. You can't take care of nobody. You can't support nobody if you don't got no money. So it's like, shorties ain't messing with no dude with no money.
And that's a fact. And like, not even getting into the angle of just like women in general. Like for me, I've always made that promise to my parents. You feel me? Like, yeah, I'm gonna retire you. I'm gonna take care of you. Like all that. So when you in a moment where that uphill trajectory is now leveling out or is going downhill slightly, you're like, yo, in this moment, I don't feel like I'll be able to keep the promise that I made, And in that moment, you're just like, all right, that's a hit for my mental, because I want to be able to keep true to my word. Mm-hmm. I want to do it soon. Mm-hmm. So you start adding this pressure on you, this unrealistic pressure on you, like that you got to make $1 million by tomorrow.
Yeah, everyone's chasing that 6 figures or that $1 million. Everyone's trying to get that, at least that $1 million. It's tough. So how have you been able to rationalize everything? I know you said you've been taking things day at a time, and enjoying all the little things that life have to offer. But what else are you doing to really make sure that your mental health is intact?
The gym. The gym, getting in the gym and just like letting out that frustration that you do have there, you know, trying to find like healthy outlets. Also just continuing to feed that creative spirit. So for me, a big part of it is you take on these jobs sometimes because they pay. But the reality is, even though these jobs pay, it's not what you want to do, even though it's what you do. So I've been trying to take on more jobs, even if it's for less money, more jobs that align with what I'm trying to create. That way, I'm feeding my creativity and I'm not thinking about the dollar amount, you know? Because when you're doing something that you don't want to do and it's not for the amount you actually want to be paid for it, then you're like, you dragging your feet doing it. But when you get to create something and it's fun, you're like, yo, regardless of what I'm making in this job, I'm enjoying myself, and it's nostalgic. It's making me go back to a time where like I just created whatever I wanted to create all the time because I wasn't creating for money.
Yeah, I feel that. So what's the next for you, my brother? What's the next step in your process?
Next step in my process is really and truly getting this collection together.
Okay, tell us more about this collection.
So I just put in my notes the other day, I'm like, yo, these are the pieces that I want to be in my base collection. And I've started sketching some out. And the goal really right now is, as much as I love doing custom pieces, the issue that I've been having is when it comes time to like manufacture certain pieces, I haven't been able to find manufacturers that are doing the work at the quality with the same fit and style that I want. So it might be a trip overseas where I'm actually bringing the clothing personally out there.
Let me know. I'll go with you. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. Help me, please. Help me, please.
Or it might be finding a local manufacturer, even though higher costs and stuff like that, finding a local manufacturer and bringing the actual pieces into them so we could be more hands-on the process, so I could really put out the pieces at the quality and exactly how I envision it and not cut corners. So that's really what my focus is on right now, because with that's going to help me to really scale and get my clothes where I want it to be. And then that'll help keep me afloat while I take on these more fun, I guess, or less monotonous custom orders for clients and stuff like that. And starting to work with brands as well, do like brand partnerships, reworks, and brand activations. That's something else that's on my radar right now too. You know, I want companies to come with me and be like, yo, I got this merch, turn this into something, and then, you know, just cook up some pieces for them. You know, so if anybody want to plug me on an opportunity like that, you know what I mean? Hit me up.
Man, make sure y'all tap in. So if people want to go and follow you, connect with you, and, you know, stay and even just shop with you, where can they go to do that?
All right, so the website is marioandlee.com, MarioAndlee.com. The Instagram, Mario at Mario and Lee, MarioAndlee. And my personal page is Lionel.Nichols, LIONEL. Nichols, NICHOLS.
Okay, awesome. A final question, and this is something I just started doing for the podcast, Talk Ain't Cheap podcast. Final question. If there's one thing that you wanted to tell the world, or one thing that you want the world to know about you, what is that one final thing that you want the world to know about you?
Oh, man, this is deep.
Yeah, ain't no surface level conversations on this one. Ain't nothing surface level out here.
This is deep. One thing I would want the world to know about me is, oh man, this is tough. Remember, can I give like a word of wisdom? Like not necessarily like a thing, but a word of wisdom. So my word of wisdom is this: always remember your why. Mm-hmm. Always remember your why, because that's what's going to propel you to do whatever it is that you want to do and that you're working on, is your why. Just remember that.
I love that. All right, well, thank you so much for tuning in to Talk Ain't Cheap podcast. Thank y'all for supporting, and make sure y'all follow, like, subscribe, rate, share, comment.
And shop
with Mario Ali and Talk Ain't Cheap. Like I said, you're tuning in to Talk Ain't Cheap, and you know the slogan is Talk Ain't Cheap. It's not that deep. It's a vibe. Good job, my brother.
All right.